Let me do the math for you. Let's say your income is $125,000 and you have no debts whatsoever, not even a car lease, not even a car financing, zero credit card debt. The bank will lend you 4.5 times your income, which means you're looking at a $562,000 total mortgage. Let's say you saved up $125,000, assuming you could have done that while paying 40, 50, 60% of your income towards rental, and that's about 20% down payment, and that's why I use that number. That gets you to a total purchase price of $687,000. Yeah, that is not even if we get to CMHC's affordable Toronto pricing in 2019. It just doesn't make sense. And this is why I'm kind of pissed off that, look, people need to understand the government has just given up on housing affordability. It doesn't matter what government is in power, it's just not going to happen. But here's the truth and what CMHC won't say. Affordability never existed in the first place. The middle class has been priced out for years now, and even the government is officially giving up on them with this latest report. Keep watching as I break down what this shift means, why affordable is just another buzzword now, and how this impacts you if you're trying to buy a home in today's market. Hi, my name is Zen. If you enjoy my data-driven and number-crunching real estate updates, be sure to like and subscribe. The invisible poor, the middle-income households making up $125,000 annually, are getting squeezed out of the Greater Toronto Hamilton area. This is very, very sad. I've talked about it many times in the past. But the thing that really makes me angry is that you're going to see later in this video that CMHC, the Crown Corporation for Housing in Canada, basically just moved the goalposts and changed the definition of affordability to make things worse for a lot of these middle income households. Now, keep in mind, household income means the entire family, so it includes a couple. So anyone who is, in this article saying, is a nurse or teacher, who are the bones and heart of creating cities so that's functional, are actually being squeezed out. And this is who they're calling the invisible poor, because they make a healthy amount of income, but they cannot get on the housing ladder unless they have financial help from their parents that are being gifted or helping sign the mortgage. And that's very unfortunate. Now, what this article is saying that most people are spending anywhere between 45 to 65% of their income towards housing, far surpassing the 30% that people are supposed to use as per financial experts. However, that 30% has always been kind of silly, if you ask me, because it's never realistically has been true. Torontonians have mostly spent upwards of 50% of it. However, as home prices are going up, that number is going to get larger and larger. And as rent prices potentially may come down a little bit, that number may shrink a little bit. But the problem lies in this. Affordability is not coming back. It just is not. So we have to get used to it. And I hate being the bearer of bad news, but that's actually what's happening. And you can see this in between the fine print on CMHC's latest report. So this is the June 2025 update on a new framework. Key word here is new, on what affordability is. So if I look over here, their results are saying that, hey, for us to get back to affordable, which is 30% of someone's income, we now need to create 430,000 to 480,000 units. Keep in mind, units means not necessarily a detached home, a freehold home that you own. It could mean a one-bedroom rental that's owned by institution. And that's generally what they have been pushing towards in the last 5 to 10 years. So we need to increase our housing unit supply from the average of 250,000 to 480. So almost doubling. Can we do that? I don't think so. And look at this. This is a chart showing all of Canada's housing completions, which is units going from 1970s to 2023. You know when we built the most amount of homes? In the 70s. We hit about 260. Do you know where 450,000 homes are going to be? It'll be like somewhere up here. Somewhere up here, if I can draw a bar like this for you. Do you think we're going to do that? No, of course not. So this idea of affordability makes no sense. What pisses me off even more is that CMHC in this article and their new framework just moved the goalposts. Listen to this. This is strictly from the report. Highlights in Table 2, which I'm going to show you later, show the substantial loss of affordability in provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, Quebec, and Nova Scotia, as well as losses elsewhere between 2019 and 2024. It also shows the level of affordability we aim to return to in our modeling in this new framework. So in general, we aim to return to levels of affordability at which adjusted home prices are, number one, no higher than 30% of average household income, which is what most people have been saying. You should be using 30%. And honestly, we have not been there as Torontonians in a very long time. And here's the thing that pisses me off the most. Number two, no higher than their 2019 levels in the more unaffordable regions. Ontario, Toronto is part of the unaffordable regions, and CMHC is aiming for affordability levels of 2019, which is higher than 30%. They just move the goalposts. They don't care about affordability, let alone all the problems with trying to build enough homes to get to affordability. Do you know where home prices were in 2019 for Toronto? Right here, $812,000. Can the average income right now, say on the higher end of $125,000, able to afford that? No. Let me do the math for you. Let's say your income is $125,000 and you have no debts whatsoever, not even a car lease, not even a car financing, zero credit card debt. The bank will lend you 4.5 times your income, which means you're looking at a $562,000 total mortgage. Let's say you saved up $125,000, assuming you could have done that while paying 40, 50, 60% of your income towards rental, and that's about 20% down payment, and that's why I use that number. That gets you to a total purchase price of $687,000. Yeah, that is not even if we get to CMHC's affordable Toronto pricing in 2019. It just doesn't make sense. And this is why I'm kind of pissed off that, look, people need to understand the government has just given up on housing affordability. It doesn't matter what government is in power. It's just not going to happen. Hey, it's me interrupting myself. Ready to make a move? Just one free call, no hassle, but decades of experience to work for you. So let's say CMHC sprinkles a little bit of magic fairy dust and somehow miraculously gets the Toronto real estate pricing back to 2019 affordable price range. Do you think the higher range of the $125,000 household income can actually still afford what the average price in 2019 is, that being $812,000? Let me show you the math. So if you have $812,000, and let's just assume that you're going to provide 20% down. And yes, I know you can do less than that right now, but traditionally most people have been doing 20% down. So you take an 80% mortgage, and assuming you have no other debt, you divide this by 4.5, and that's how much income you need to qualify for the mortgage to buy the average price of $812,000 at today's current market. So it's $20,000 higher than the highest price point of the household income right now. So let me take you through the first principles thinking of what CMHC's actual affordable means. So if they can somehow double the housing completions for the next 10 years, which again, I do not think they're going to be able to, like I said earlier in this video, then get us back to 2019 pricing in 2035. And assuming that wages on the highest end go from $125,000 to $144,000 and maybe even more, then your average household can afford the average home in Toronto. Just think about that and all the ifs that need to go into it, and you can see why this just pisses me off, because it's so blatantly obvious that the government just does not care about affordable housing. And this is not even to get to the point where, hey, what are all the people that own housing are going to think about their prices and the value of their homes when it goes from $1.1 million on average down to $800,000? None of this makes any sense. It just does not. So this is why this idea of the government is going to somehow get prices lower based on their effort and things they're trying to do is just silly. It's not going to happen. If you look at the CMHC chart that they have here, specifically Toronto, they're saying that if they can inject their magical fairy supply of 480,000, they're going to bring it back to the 59% of affordability, which is in line with this chart over here, which is the 2019 ratio that they're using. And right now we're at 74%, and they're trying to get to 59 by 2035. But if you look at the fact that, hey, what if they cannot get their supply to 480,000 a year? And if business as usual happens, are we going to get to 79% by 2035? That's their projection. So do you think housing affordability is going to get any better in the next few years? No. CMHC literally just came out and said they gave up. Now, one of the things that I think a lot of Torontonians are very pissed off about is that our city is a very high cost of living city. And when I look at comparison in a different metric, which is this chart over here, where it talks about the price to income ratio, I'm comparing this to a lot of other American cities. And you can see that Toronto is number 3, only behind Vancouver and New York. And you can see that the price to income ratio is using an actual single person as opposed to a household. You can see that we're at 13 times the average income, whereas Vancouver is slightly higher right now and New York is at 15. However, one of the things I've always liked to shed some light on is that I was not born in Toronto or Canada. So this idea of owning your home is actually very, very nice. Where I came from is actually in Asia, where if I look into the price to income relative to the rest of the world, it actually doesn't seem so bad. And actually don't look at it as like, hey, I'm telling you to buy right now. It's just most of my family comes from actually the top 10 cities that are the most unaffordable, where we're looking at 28 times your income, 30 times your income, 38 times your income, and 38 times your income. That's where a lot of my family is from. And that's the context I have of price to income. So relatively, it's not that bad. And if I were to actually find Toronto on the scale, it brings us down to 100 out of all the cities there. So yes, 13 times in this metric, or call it 10 times for a household family, is very, very bad and it's very unaffordable. But the problem that we're actually having right now is that real estate has become a financial instrument. It's where people who have money are putting their money so that it doesn't get devalued. So in a world where our dollar is being able to buy less and less, and people are very aware of what's happening because of inflation right now, the people who have money are storing their money in things that are more scarce than these dollar bills that are constantly being printed by the government right now. And that's why real estate has been a store of value for a lot of the wealthy. So that's why a lot of people are trying to get in the market are very upset at this. It's not that the government can't fix it. It's just that they have to fix the supply of money, which they're not going to do, which is a whole different video on its own. And this is why I truly believe, despite 80% of homes selling for less than their list price and prices being down year over year from last year, owning the home that you live in is actually going to be a good asset and a good position for you in the long term, because we are just not going to get down to these affordability levels where prices are going to come down. The politicians are talking out of both sides of their mouth. And if CMHC is going to be correct and probably not going to build their 480,000 units, again, includes rentals, we're probably going to see unaffordability increase to other countries and other cities that I showed you earlier. And this is why owning the home you live in is a very important thing. And if you understand this right now, this is actually a good opportunity to find something where you can buy in a lower affordability number, because you can get lower prices right now. And if you can lock in that lower price because the market is down right now, your future self is going to thank you right now for making that decision. And this is exactly what I talk about in this video. So make sure to check that out. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya.